Okay guys, today we're going over the Steyr Scout 223 ammo changes and go over all the info we have. Some good stuff here. This one, of course, being the 223, is a fairly weak caliber, but it has some very important things to know about it. So I'm just sort of grabbing one now. Okay, so we have our Steyr Scout. So the ammo selections are, the unlimited one is the Remington Core, or sorry, the Federal Core, soft point. So that's your unlimited, don't have to worry about purchasing or anything like that. We have the Barnes TSX by Federal as the hollow point, and then we have a polymer tipped trophy copper by Federal as well. And yeah, we'll go over some of the energy values here because there's something to take note of. The soft point, it indicates as a hunting tier 3, and these other two it indicates as hunting tier 4. So up on the screen now is the energy measurements collected by the none other than Liquid Fire. This comes from his work in progress, a spreadsheet that links down in the description. And it's interesting to note here because the top is the core, of course, and then you can see the middle is the Barnes and the third is the polymer tip. The tier 3, the unlimited ammo, is actually the strongest. So it's not a great deal stronger than the polymer tip, but it is stronger at the 4 ranges that you can measure with the Hunter Sense dot. So out to 400 meters. So this one's a bit of a puzzle. I'm not really too sure as to why they labeled the soft point a tier 3, because there's no other factor in here that would make it a tier 3 that we can find. But it's also not as simple as the soft point being slightly more powerful than the polymer tip, so there is more to it, other than just go with the strongest here. So basically what you need to know is they both, the soft point and the polymer tip both land around the same energy, and then the Barnes TSX is sitting at 100 to 200 joules lower at each range. However, even though with the soft point being stronger than the polymer tip, just slightly though, I still use the polymer tip rounds. And the reason for that is the cavity profile. Now, I don't actually have the image of the cavity profile ready because it doesn't really help a whole lot. The 223 doesn't really have much cavity around it. Like it's a very thin cone. So in that case, you can sort of treat the cavity damage as just additional penetration damage. Even though it doesn't register as penetration damage, it does register as cavity damage. It doesn't really spread out, so, well, not very much, so it just keeps running along that line, right? So the difference between the cavity and the soft point and the polymer tip is the soft point, it peaks earlier, and with the polymer tip, the cavity damage is more spread out evenly along the bullet path. And that's important with the 223 because the 223 needs as much damage and penetration as it can get. So the polymer tip typically performs better because the soft point is kicking out its damage too early, and you're losing energy damage into the flesh of the animal, while the polymer tip will carry some of that cavity damage in further. So that is the moral of the story, if that makes sense. So basically, use the free ammo, if you don't want to spend money. But if you're spending money, you're taking a tiny bit of a jewel hit, which is insignificant. But by spending a bit of gold doubloons, you're going to be getting pretty much the same cartridge, but with the cavity damage carrying more evenly in. So it just typically performs better since there's more cavity damage in about where like the lung would be than the soft point. So that's typically it. As far as the Barnes TX round goes, I don't actually know when you would use it. The 223 is already fairly weak. I do not know the scenario where you actually need to drop it by 100 to 200 joules. I mean, maybe if we go and look at really small animals, let's see if we can figure out what would use this. I mean, if you're gonna shoot rabbits at range? Maybe? Yes, I found the purpose for the Barnes TSX 223. Up to 820 joules for a European rabbit. So you can be within the hunt rating, you know, around 250 meters. So if you want to do some long range rabbit hunting, I don't know why you would. But there's the purpose for the Barnes TSX. I'm not really too sure where else you would need it. I suppose if you also want to snipe some goose out at 300 meters, maybe? I mean, even with red fox, you wouldn't use the Barnes TSX. Because it's up to 18, it's 600 to 1800. So the other two calibers fit it better. Or not calibers, the other two types. Yeah, well, that only took me 6 minutes to go through. Yeah, so that's the moral of the story. Barnes TSX, you can pretty much eliminate needing it, unless you guys can think of some other reason. Its cavity profile is pretty much the same as the soft point one. So there's just not much cavity damage to worry about with the 223. So I mean, it just kind of glides along with the penetration line. It is just the soft point in the Barnes peaks earlier than the polymer tip, and the polymer tip is more evenly distributed along the bullet path. And it's important for the 223 to have as much energy it can and as far as it can. So yeah, the polymer tip is pretty much what you're going to be using, I think, unless you need to save money and then use the soft point. So yeah, that is it. We're going to do a little bit of a hunt since the video is only 7 minutes here. I've been developing a new shot that you could probably use the 223 for. Recently, well, I guess when this gets published, it would have been like a week ago. I took down the albino red deer I have with a single shot from the 223 polymer tip and a moose with it. So I mean, I always joke that the only caliber you need in the entire game is 223, except for like the buffalo. You could still do it with the buffaloes and the Cape buffalo, but that's getting a little ridiculous. However, yeah, it's definitely still capable of taking down tier 6 animals. And there's a certain shot I've been working on because I've been analyzing the shape of the lungs, and I think there's a sort of a weak spot that maybe can help. So if I can locate an animal here, we'll give it a go. It's kind of a difficult shot to make because I'm not used to trying to picture the certain spot in the lungs. So I often miss, but on the streams I've been practicing it. So anyways, we'll see what happens. So I'm hoping to find some moose, but we're at kind of the northern border of where the reindeer are. Let's load the polymer tip in here just to make sure I have it ready to go. And I'm still uncovering some of the fog up here in the Vara Highlands. But you can get, this is kind of an interesting stretch down here, because you can get moose and red deer, fallow deer, lynx, and then reindeer, and mouflon. It's pretty much where the north and the south sort of collide. And you can get a lot of different animals up here. Whoop, I stumbled right upon a fox. Just walking up to, this is young male. Never mind, I'm not gonna shoot him. Is there like a female with you? I just kind of jogged up on him. I tell you, they've reduced the senses of the animals here. I don't know if they've done it across all the maps. But yeah, I play in hiker. I might have to increase the difficulty, but we'll see. Because they used to, I know foxes were easy to sneak up on, but that was a little too easy. I guess this one's a solo male. I mean, we can check the energy levels. Like, I'm just standing here and don't even know. But yeah, the polymer tip was within energy levels, right? And I suppose, I mean, if the shot goes through the fox, I suppose you'd waste energy that way. And then maybe you'd want to do the Barnes instead, since it would release a bit more energy early. Oh, I guess the Barnes is stronger. Oh, there you go. We don't have measurements for below below 100 meters. There, it's stronger at 20 meters. So if you need a little bit extra oomph, like 30 joules extra, I mean, when are you going to get much closer than this? There, I found another reason to use the barns. A little extra power there. Oh, but the soft point beats it there too, so never mind. I don't know when you use the Barnes TSX. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let me find something else. And yeah, I know the differences between the hollow point and the polymer tip, like in real life. But I'm only concerned with how the end game is interpreting them. And yeah, how the end game data is interpreting them, I don't know when you would use this Barnes TSX. Yeah, for reasons already given. Because it doesn't have a different cavity profile than the soft point, really. Okay, approaching some reindeer. This'll work. Whoa. Jeez, yep, right there. Oh, they're on the move too. 1-star mature, perfect. What's the range? We're only gonna need 50 meters. We got the polymer tip loaded. I'll try and explain the shot. So the shot is a upper rear lung location. And you're like, what? Why are you shooting up there? Here, let's take a look at the reindeer. I'll show you. I probably talked about this in stream several times, if you've seen it, so you know what I'm talking about. And by the time this goes up, maybe I've already given up on it, but I think this has got some promise here. So if we take our, here, we're aiming here. And you gotta know, we're not really aiming for the artery, but that's just kind of bonus that it's up here. Pretty much just below where the artery is where we're kind of aiming. Now, I can't zoom in too much in this view. You need the bullet cam to really zoom in. But typically, what's happening is up here, the lung is just as thick as the other thick parts of the lung, but with the added bonus that it curves inward, right? So since it's angled inwards, from the point of entry to the actual exit up here, it's kind of hard to see. In theory, the bullet stays in the lung the longest on a broadside up here. Plus, you got this artery you can hit. And, of course, the damage model in the game works with how long the bullet's actually in the organ. So if you're doing a broadside, the problem is with broadside, it goes in the lung and pops out the other side. And once it comes out the other side, you no longer do damage to the organ. And then you put energy elsewhere, right, in the other lung or whatever. To get them to drop the fastest, you want to put as much energy you can in that first lung. Like, unless you're doing a heart shot or something. But I'm practicing this one. And so, yeah, we want to aim up here to get the bolt to stay in as long as we can on a broadside. So it's like about here. I don't know. I have a hard time, like, picturing it because I'm so used to doing, like, a normal shot. It's sort of difficult to get used to, but it's going to be important for the 223, I think. Like on broads. Oh, they're curving towards me. At this point I haven't done the shot that much. But in theory it works. But you can still take them out. You know, with normal broadsides. So it's going to be around here, right? Like right around here? Quartering in? Maybe a bit more over? He's kind of bending his torso around. Let's see if that works. Oh, it did! It got him! So it's only 50 meters, not very far, right? But, yeah. We got medium blood, too. And he didn't actually even run that far. Alright, so that's not bad. So let's take a look. See how we actually hit here. So yeah, this is my new shot. To try and keep on a broadside the bullet in the lung as long as I can. Because the other kind of shot is to quarter it in, right? But let's just see how this looks. Yeah, I actually want to hit a little higher than that. Oh, too far into the liver. So I could have gone a little forward there, but not bad. Not bad. You can see how long the blue bar is. Like, it goes light and dark and stuff like that, just because the camera angle or whatever. But it's pretty much this blue from here to here, and all this cavity. This is the palmer tip one, kind of stretching it out. See the other one's peak earlier, like back here, and then the palmer tip just kind of carries it in. But yeah, that's what you're going for with the 223 especially. You want to get that blue line as long as you can get it, and that's, I mean, this lung at the top starts curving back with the bullet, so it kind of, if you measure it out, since it goes along with it, it works. So it works quite well there. Like, look how long it stayed in the lung. So that's the thing. You actually want to shoot higher than that, because it bends even more. And then you get the added bonus. I don't know if you can see this or not. Maybe I can back up a little bit. See up there with the two lungs connect? If you hit broadside up there, then you don't lose any energy and miscellaneous damage. I'm calling it miscellaneous damage instead of flesh damage. Just because anywhere that's not an organ is flesh damage, which is pretty much like miscellaneous stuff. And it drops the jewels quicker. But yeah, the lungs actually connect up here too. So you can transfer between lungs at the top here without really losing any energy at all, the damage. So, you know, you might as well put the energy in both lungs, like if you're going to be hitting both lungs instead of the space in between. And then you get the artery up here, of course. So yeah, actually I need to shoot higher on that, but that takes a little bit a while getting used to. 21%. Got to get rid of that guy. But that's it for now. That's the 223. Hopefully that all made sense. It's fairly, I don't know, it seems fairly straightforward to me. Use the polymer tip. If you're trying to save money, use the soft point. And yeah, no idea in the Barnes TSX. But I think that's it for now. Let me know any questions or concerns. And yeah, take care, guys. See you in the next one.